What is up, YouTube, and welcome to my One Piece Chapter 819 review. This is Firefish Backhouse, and let's dive into this one. I made some notes, so hopefully this goes by good. So the chapter started out with everyone, basically being like, Momonosuke's dad went with Goldie Roger to Raftel. And then Robin brings up the fact that he was one of the few that learned the secret of this world, just like Rayleigh. We then get a flashback back to Rayleigh when he told them, that they did learn the secret of this world. And then, it goes to Zoro, and Zoro, he does pay attention sometimes, even though he loses his directions all the time and forgets where he's got to go and everything. But Zoro brings up the fact that this secret of the world is what they were trying to weasel out of them. Kaido's underlings, Doflamingo, and Caesar, That's why they were hunting them down. Hunting you guys down. And then Kinemon tells Zoro that his logic is sound, but the thing is that Odin never wanted to bestow the burden and decided not to put the burden on them of learning this secret. And even if they did know, they would never speak of it if anybody asked. They go on saying that even though they have very slim chance against Kaido and the Shogun, that, they have no choice but to fight. They know, and then Lord Odin, gave them the word, told them the words saying, open the borders of the Wano country. And then we find out, Nekomamushi and Inarashi, they were retainers of Odin, so they were more than just friends. They were his personal bodyguards. And Kanjuro keeps going on, saying by some weird twist of fate, no, Lord Odin left them, Lord Odin's shields, they were, even though they were his retainers, he saved them. And that they must stake their lives upon seeking justice for him, and the only way they can do that is by killing the Shogun of the Wano country and opening its borders. So I wonder if, maybe now they might, be more open to letting people come to their island. I don't think they would join the world government if they know that the Kozuki clan were the people that created the poneglyphs and everything. They had a reason to do it. I don't think they would ever join them. And Kinemon keeps going on that was their true objective from the start. They went out to go gather strong comrades, and their first target was heading to Zou. Kaido and the Shogun have joined forces, and even though they are a puddle compared to an ocean and they have no hope of winning, they must win. Once Raizo landed on Zou, Inarashi points out that the Minks, were prepared to die, but yet when it did come time to fight, they were absolutely routed, and that was just by one of Kaido's fleets and the leader, Jack. Jack isn't, Kaido's right-hand man for a reason, just like Zoro is basically as strong, or just a little bit less stronger than Luffy, usually the right-hand man is just as strong or a little bit weaker than the captain, and then, Frankie points out the fact, hey, you guys only lost because of the gas weapon, it's not like they came in and beat you. And, Inarashi keeps going on, that they can come to terms with losing, to the underhanded tactics of their cowardly enemy, but the next time they meet and they fight, they will use their trump card and they will show them the real power of the minks. And, that is true. They weren't going all out on the minks, in the first place. Then Kinemon goes on saying, that they really have something to ask Luffy Dono and you too, Wano Dono, that him and his comrades are in awe of their strength, and if their past desires are won in the coming fight with Kaido and the Shogun of Wano, they humbly request, Luffy's help. And Luffy, is just staring there, and he says, before he's standing there, Usopp's like, wow, the mink and the samurai, that's, a force that even we would think twice about acting for, and then Luffy says, no. Usopp's like, what were you thinking, hold on, Kinemon, and then, Luffy starts staring, he starts scolding Momo, saying, what are you? Just a figurehead for everything? You said you were some huge big shot, right? You're the leader of all these great warriors, yet all you can do is cry. Nami slaps him, and says, he apologizes for his dumb captain, and Brook says, even though he is an heir to the throne, until he is an adult, he doesn't really do anything, and then, there's a funny moment there with Brook, where he's like, you're the one adult he shouldn't be around, and then we get flashbacks, not really flashback, but flashback words of what happened to Momo's village. Find out that his mom was killed too, we see a little glimpse of Kaido there saying, burn them all to the ground or something like that. You hear the screams while he's crying, and, then he looks up at Luffy and he screams while he's crying, I want to beat Kaido. He's the enemy of my parents, even my mother fell to him, and that he wishes that he could be strong and be an adult so that he could get vengeance for his mom and his dad, but he cannot. And that he also wants to protect his retainers, and then, Kinemon's like, even, the sentiment, is enough, and every one of his retainers are crying, and then Momo says, but I cannot, I am small and cannot, that is why I wish to fight along your side, Luffy. And before he can bow down on his knees and everything, Luffy picks up his head and says, that's more like it. Let's join forces, an alliance. I'll take down Kaido for you. And then Law's like, hey, what about your faith in me? You never asked my opinion. And Luffy's like, oh, well, I knew you'd be okay with it. And Law's like, that's not a point. And then Luffy, the brand new Ninja-Pirate-Mink-Alliance is formed right then and there. Luffy then informs them all about Sanji and everything, and, that he has to go and rescue Sanji and everything with Pekka-Mamushi, and that he asked everybody to stay on Zou and not cause any trouble, and then, Inuyasha's like, Pekka-Mamushi, and then it flashes to the Minks. They're throwing a banquet to celebrate the fact that Nekomamushi and Inuyasha have finally come to a truce, even though it is a truce as an order by Momonosuke. Obviously, as this arc goes on, it will likely, they'll mend, they'll probably realize how much they missed each other, and as the fight and everything goes on, they'll end up, forming a new bond and realizing that the whole reason they were mad at each other was probably stupid from, the start and everything, and, Pedro's all talking about how, once upon a time they were very fast friends, the very best of friends, and then one day they showed up back at Zoe after a long voyage, many years ago when Pedro and Wanda were still a kid and Carrot wasn't even born yet. They were heavily damaged and everything, and even though they took heavy damage and they were heavily wounded and everything, they were still fighting at each other's throats. So obviously something big happened between them, and I'm really hoping, in Zoe and in the coming, chapters with this alliance and everything, I hope that we do eventually find out something. And if Lord Odin was on, the ship with the Pirate King, first and foremost, one, was he in the same situation as Momonosuke was, where his dad was, the Lord? He was Lord Odin. He was the, his dad, was the leader, and he was like Momonosuke. And, he was an adult. He was able to travel the seas, and, maybe he ordered his retainers at that time, to stay put and everything, when they went to Raftel. Maybe, Shanks actually didn't go to Raftel. Maybe Lord Odin, told him to stay there and watch, the little kids and, the younger people, that, this was something only for adults. But anyway, they keep going on. He's talking about it. And then, the other minks are talking and they're like, hey, where are the Straw Hats at? And then, it shoots to a beautiful panel of Jack arriving back, and he's like, we're back at this, sorry sight of a thing, and, then it goes into his ship and everything, and, he's talking to Sheephead, and he's like, I find it very hard to believe that he found it acceptable to return to him with such a pitiful answer as Rizzo isn't there, and then Sheephead, tells Jack that, some of the minks escaped the gas, they're half dead, they did survive, and then Jack says, well, they'll go and finish the job, they're half dead anyway, dead men, don't come back for revenge or something like that. And then everybody's like, and then he's like, there's no need to rush anywhere. I'll just kill the huge elephant. So he's going to try and kill Zoe, and that's the end of the chapter. It was actually, a really long chapter, believe it or not. I think it was something like 17, 18 actual pages, and it was something like 22, 23 pages on Manga Stream. Something like that, but yeah, anyway, most of these chapters in Zoe, Oda's been killing it, dropping bombshell after bombshell, and, Oda's probably like, yeah, I'm very sorry for that 2.5, almost 2.5 years of Dressrosa, here's Zoe, and just revelation after revelation after this and that, we got, it first started out, we got the pirate, we got the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, we got the bounty posters with Sanji Wanted Only Alive, we found out that Sanji's last name was Vinsmoke. We then found out about his dad being the Lord and being the leader of the underground. We found out all this stuff about Lord Odin, that his family are the ones that created the poneglyphs, that they're master stonemasons. We found out about the road poneglyphs. We found out that Inuyasha and Nekomamushi know Shanks. They've met Shanks. And then we found out that Lord Odin, he was executed by Kaido. He was boiled alive. We find out Momonosuke is the heir to the throne. He's not really Kinemon's son. You know, we find out about Jack. We see how destructive Jack's power is and everything. And, you know, probably one of the biggest things is we found out another member of Roger's crew, and that is Odin Koisuke. And, you know, there's just been so much going on, you know, basically the last 20 chapters or so. I mean, you figure, I think 801 was entitled Zoe, so if you go basically, I think it was 795 was the chapter where Kaido flew out of the ground, you know, 10,000 meters from the sky, just boom onto the ground. You know, you figure 795, you know, Oda's, you know, the last 25 to 30 chapters, you know, have just been on point, have just been, you know, most of them have been close, like 8 or 9 out of 10. Majority of them have been 10 out of 10. Some of them, last week's chapter was probably like a 15 out of 10. It just had drop point after revelation, after this and that. But this video is getting very long. My rating, once again, for the chapter is, this is a 10 out of 10. And, you know, basically my rating for Zoe so far, you know, you can classify, you know, the lead up to Zoe as, you know, when they left Dressrosa and everything, so the build up there and everything. You know, this has been an excellent arc after what was a really long and stretched out Dressrosa arc. I mean, we're finally getting to the end of it in the anime, and these episodes, you know, the last, you know, 20, you know, 30 chapters or so are gonna get animated soon. And, you know, the last few chapters and everything, when they're animated, it's going to be so awesome to see. But that's it for my review. Like or dislike this video and comment down below on why you liked or didn't like it. You know, subscribe if you want to get all my videos first when they first come out and everything. And this is Firefist Backhouse here, saying, you know, I hope no matter what you guys choose to do, I hope you guys have a wonderful and safe day. This is Firefist Backhouse signing out, and until next time, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!